Hi, Justine Balmer. Thank you so much for joining me on the Mary-Jess Meets podcast. How are you doing today?
Hey, oh, thank you so much for asking me. I'm good. The sun is shining.
Yes, the sun is shining here as well, which is very nice because I've been meaning to spend some time in the garden today, and it's nice to get out there when the sun's shining, isn't it? It's nice to get a bit of that
It
vitamin D.
is. It is. Not that I've managed to actually get out in it because I've been busy DIYing all day, as we were talking beforehand. But yes, I do plan on getting out there a little bit later, fingers crossed.
Yeah, and your DIYing sounds great. You are quite a creative person, aren't you? You enjoy the sort of creative aspect of many things.
I guess so. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I want everything to look nice and a bit girly. Well, feminine rather than girly. So yeah, I'm painting chests of drawers and putting mirrors up and moving things round and getting there.
Yeah, and you said
Definitely.
about upcycling as well, and I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were doing it to a
I do too.
cabinet, wasn't it, that you said?
Yeah, to a big dark wood chest of drawers that I'm sort of making like a pale cream to fit in with the fitted wardrobes we've got in the bedroom. But yeah, you're right. I love upcycling. I did it to when I had my flat. I had this really cheap pine chest of drawers, and I thought I want to make it a bit special and a feature. So I painted it pale grey, and then I bought the wonderful ceramic knobs that you can buy to put on
I love
on the
them.
drawers, and they were all different, so I had different knobs, and it looked so funky. Really, really nice.
That's so cool because I did a
Mm.
similar thing with my new sewing table. So I've gotten into sewing quite a bit recently, and I wanted a nice table with drawers so that I could leave my sewing machine out and not have to put it away all the time. And I upcycled that. I did use the chalk paint and then use the different
Yes, me too.
knobs on it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how are we doing knobs? I don't know how to do knobs. Should we be talking about knobs on a podcast? I'm not really too sure. But anyway, yeah, and it's so nice when you look at something and you go, I did that. I did that. It's
Yeah.
really, really lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice when you can see your hard work paying off, because I've said to people before, when you're working on your laptop from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, your laptop looks exactly the same all the way through the day, no matter how much you've done. So you can't look at it and go, I did this. It looks the same.
Yes. Yes. I quite agree. But I am super impressed you do sewing, because I cannot do that.
Well, I try my best with it. I still don't really know what I'm doing, but it's more of a try my best as I go along and learn some stuff at the same time kind of thing. I'm quite lucky though. My mum, even though she's in Texas, I know I can call her and say, I need help with this. How do I do it? Because she is a professional seamstress and leather worker, so she has all the skills.
Wow. Oh, okay.
All of the skills, so she can help. It's not quite the same as actually having her here. That would be amazing. But yeah, at least I can call her and go, I'm stuck. How do I do blah, 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 whatever it is. That's useful.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm trying my best with it because I love giving stuff new life. So it's not just upcycling furniture, but like some of the vintage dresses that I've found and I'm restoring, is that kind of thing. But it's the same feeling as when you're out in the garden and you've like weeded a patch of this flower bed and you can go, I did that. That looks good.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
by the way, loving all your vintage things that you're doing, with the scarves and the everything that you're making is great. But
Thank you.
yeah, welcome. But yeah, you're right, because I'm on a mission with the garden as well, and I bought because I moved in with my other half the week before lockdown. It's been
Good
quite
timing.
intense. Yeah, can't lie. But hopefully overall good. But the pots that I bought from my flat to there, I've sort of been buying plants and putting them in and tweaking stuff in the garden. And yeah, you're right, it's that sense of actually doing something and getting your hands a bit dirty and creating, I guess. Yeah
It's when I first started in the garden, it was more of a response to panic. It was so all the financial help had been announced for the PAYE. And nothing had been announced for self-employed people, and all my cruises were being cancelled left, right and centre. And I was thinking, holy moly, if I can't afford to go shopping at the end of the year, I'm going to need some veg in my garden.
So you did veg patches. I love it.
I planted all the seeds I could find, and ordered a load of them in. And yeah, I mean, it makes it sound worse than it is. It's like, thankfully, we've tried to be sensible with this whole thing, and we should be able to feed ourselves by the end of the year. Didn't mean it to kind of sound quite so dramatic.
No,
but I think it was also
the good life.
well, yeah, that's what I was aiming for. I think at that time, it was when the whole world was collapsing around me, I was just thinking, well, that's one thing I can control. That's one thing I can do, and I can see progress in. But I know that you would have been feeling the same as me, because we have, quite a few industries in common. And I know I spoke to you when stuff was announced for the PAYE, and we were there going, we're self-employed, what are we going to do?
I know.
Panic stations!
Yes, I mean, thank goodness, we did get some help. Still tricky as it's net, not gross, so we won't go into that, but la 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 la. But I'm just really glad, because I was going to become a limited company, and I'm so glad I didn't.
Oh my gosh, you must feel like you skipped what's the phrase?
Dodged a bullet.
Dodged a bullet.
Yeah, a little bit. Not with my singing, but with one of my other businesses. So very, very pleased about that. But yeah, it's been so tricky, I think, for everyone. And you hear stories, and my heart goes out to some people who've just absolutely had the worst time. I mean, I'm very lucky, I moved in and Richard was still working, and so I've spent time doing a bit of gardening and doing the house, and just thinking about other things, because I don't know if people know, we know each other through singing, and we've performed together, which was great fun. Please, can we do that again, because that was lovely?
Yes, please. I'd love it.
Good. We both do singing, but as I mentioned to you, as time goes on, I'm aware that I can't sing forever, so I'm trying to have other businesses on the go. And I think a lot of people know that I flog random stuff on shopping telly, which is great fun, and I've done it for years and years, and I'm like the queen of vacuum cleaners and hard floor cleaners and mops and all that sort of stuff. Very, very random, but I do quite enjoy it. But I also recently, because of my background with cruises, I started up a cruise agency where I supply headline acts to cruise lines, both in the US and the UK. And I've been building that for about 2 years, and it had just started to fly. I mean, I've got the best acts, I really do, and people are starting to be recommended to me, and I'm scouting, and I've just found some amazing people who I love working with, because the whole thing was I wanted to keep it quite boutique, and small, so that people had attention, they weren't getting lost in a big agency. But I partnered with a big American firm, cruise agent, who I believe you're with. And when we worked so well together, and it was and the diary for all my acts was looking amazing this year. And then for COVID to hit, and you just get cancellation. And my spreadsheet that I've got, it's usually red, for when they've got cruises coming up. And then I decided to go, blue for cancelled. And my entire spreadsheet for the rest of the year now is blue, 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 blue. And it's heartbreaking. I mean, not just because it's my baby, because it really is. I'm almost as passionate about that as I am about singing. But for my acts, who I love as people, and who I just want to do everything I can to help. And there's nothing anyone can do. It's gone. I mean, it hasn't gone forever, and we're all being very positive, and it will come back, and the cruise lines are being amazing at looking into options for safety and increase. I mean, they already had amazing hygiene and and all of this and procedures, but I think they've been so vilified in the press that it's going to be really tricky. So where was I going with this? I told you I can just talk. So you know, talking about diversifying in businesses.
Yeah.
So that it's been really tricky seeing that collapse. And well, no, collapse is the wrong word, because it's just on hold. It will come back. But it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking, because it's not just you. It's not just you going, well, I can't work. It's that everyone who you help get work can't work as well. And that's what I found really tough to deal with emotionally, and having to constantly send emails out going, I'm really sorry, but this has been cancelled. You know, this has been cancelled. This has been cancelled. So yeah, it's been tough. It's been an emotional roller coaster, and I think everyone in lockdown has been an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, I certainly have. I've had days where I've thought, this is great, I don't have to do anything today, and days where I've gone, I don't have to do anything today.
Yeah.
It's like the same sentence, but completely different feeling.
I know.
And I imagine with your acts as well, but they'll understand that you're just the middle woman and you're passing on the message. But
of course,
it must be so hard when you're the one who's constantly trying to find them work, and then you're giving them that message. That must feel awful, even though it's nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine how that would feel.
Yeah, and they've all been incredible, you know, and we're just supporting each other and, you know, staying in touch. But yeah, it's I've never had to deal with the being on the end where you're saying, I'm sorry, this isn't going ahead. You know, usually you're receiving that, but I'm having to give that news, and it's different. And I take everything. I'm very guilty of taking everything personally. With anything in my life. So, you know, but you just have to sit back and go, it is what it is. It'll sort itself out, and we'll come back stronger than ever, because we're all fab, and we will.
Yeah, well, I really hope you're right. I love that optimism. But what you said about cruises being vilified in the press and in documentaries, you're so right about that. Whereas I think it's already been proven that it was mainly air travel that spread the virus, not cruise ships. And that's what's really worrying, because the cruises, as you said, their hygiene standards are incredible.
I know. Well, look at it this way. All right, I'm going to get on my preachy high horse now. You get on a plane, and you go to your seat, and quite often there's crumbs on it that you have to brush off, especially on the cheaper flights. You pull down your tray in front of you, and quite often it's dirty and there's crumbs everywhere, and you can see it's not being cleaned properly. You get on a cruise ship, and there are crew cleaning the banisters, vacuuming. There's hand sanitizers everywhere. Everywhere is spotless. And you can't even go into the buffet without, you know, somebody standing there and literally squirting hand sanitizer at you. And that's before all this happened. So I get really angry when I see people going, cruises aren't safe and this and that. And they're one of the safest places to be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a ship that wasn't quarantined successfully, and they should have offloaded the passengers that were ill. And it's like anything with an internal air conditioning unit. It, you know, stuff circulates, and they didn't really understand at the time. So, you know, it wasn't dealt with properly. But that's one ship, you know, that was just badly handled. That's not cruising.
Yeah, that's not the entire industry.
No. So, but, you know, the aviation industry's been hit really hard. Everything's been hit really hard. But, you know, we're starting to come back. And cruises will. I think it'll take time. Yeah. But yeah, it will.
I have seen people saying good things about cruises online, which has been nice to see, because I know that there was a documentary on Channel 4 a little while ago about the cruise industry, and a lot of the tweets I saw afterwards were saying that was so one-sided. I can't believe they vilified the cruise industry when actually it's blah 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 blah. And so it really made me feel hopeful for the future of that industry. The fact that people were saying, hang on a minute, I don't think that was right. And voicing the other side of the story on social media, because then you hope people will see that. And I know there's a lot of people who can't wait to get back on a cruise, which is really nice.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. The people who love cruising, and they realise, you know, how clean and good and, you know, hygienic it is. But I think it's not as simple as an airplane flying from one airport to another airport. You know, it's so many moving parts need to be working for cruises to operate, you know, with the different ports and different countries. And to be quite frank, the fact that the CDC in America have issued a no sail order, you know, until the pandemic's over, they can't sail. So you need the authorities to be on board, as well as, you know, there's so many different moving parts. But you watch what the CEOs of the lines are saying, and they're going online and they're delivering talks and stuff, and there's so much happening. And I think it's a bit like, you know, in theatres, how they were going, you know, you can only be socially distanced, you can only be this, and you can't do live theatre because of the, you know, the spray from singers and all of this. And the one person who has really, really, really championed us is Andrew Lloyd Webber. And I think it's him going, no, but we could do this, but we could do that, because, you know, Phantom's been open in Korea the whole pandemic.
No, I did not know that. Really?
Yeah, that it hasn't shut because of the procedures he put in place in the theatre, with regards to sprays and temperature and body scans on entry, and everyone in the auditorium wearing a mask, and all the cast getting temperature checked and checked regularly. So that is the one show that hasn't closed in the whole of this pandemic.
Wow.
So he knows how to do it. So he's now trying to educate the British government. I think he's doing a live trial at the London Palladium this week. And it takes somebody like that to go, hang on, you know, so that's what we need for the cruises, is kind of where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. Although I guess South Korea have been very good with the way they've handled the virus, full stop though, really, haven't they? They've been more prepared.
I think they obey authority a lot better than the Brits do.
Could have something to do with that. But yeah, I think they were generally more prepared with their PPE and all the other stuff. Because the thing I've been worried about, not only there's so many things to be worried about when it comes to live performance now, because firstly, are the theatres still going to be there when we can go back? And then are people going to have the money to pay for tickets? And then how are people going to feel about going into a theatre, even though they're told, you know, we're doing social distancing or whatever, all the guidelines and everything, are people actually still going to be comfortable to go? I'm not sure they will. And especially because with classical, like more classical music, you tend to appeal more to an older audience. I know we do have some young fans that love classical and classical crossover music, but it does tend to be the older audience more. So will they be comfortable coming out? I wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I think only time will tell, and all we can do is all just put as many procedures in place as possible. I mean, the turning point will be, you know, when the vaccine is done, and hopefully that'll be by the end of the year. I mean, that'll just change everything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's oh gosh, I don't want this to get like a negative conversation at all, because it's really not. Because, you know, I'm so positive that everything will come back. But it's a really, I mean, who would have thought 4 months ago we'd be in this position?
I know.
Have you seen the most brilliant Michael McIntyre, who I adore? I think he's like my favourite comedian ever.
I know, I love him too.
So he's done a skit during lockdown where he's gone to see a fortune teller. So he obviously plays the fortune teller because he's done it, and you have to watch it, please. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it, because it's literally like, you know, the fortune teller saying everything that's going to happen in lockdown. He's like, no, don't be silly, no. And it's very, very good.
That sounds great.
Down up for me.
Oh my gosh, I'm totally looking that up. Sounds amazing. I love that man anyway though. But yeah, you're right. Let's turn into like more optimistic views and you know, happy conversation, and talk more about the benefits of diversifying, because I know you were talking about it, and I think that it's great. It's a great thing to carry on talking about, because one of the mottos that I live by is to always have more than one string to your bow. So that's why I took Chinese when I was younger. That's why I wanted it as a second string to my singing. But it's so important, and you are such an amazing, inspiring example of that. It's so brilliant. So like, not only, as you said, the cruise agent stuff and singing on cruises, and being a singer yourself, but you've got your beauty brand and the TV stuff that you do. Like, that's so brilliant that you've got all of these things. And it's just great for this stuff that you can never, ever, ever foresee. So I know that thankfully the TV stuff has been ongoing, but I remember talking to you as we went into lockdown about your beauty business. And I know that's one thing that hasn't quite fared as well because of the whole premises situation, isn't it?
Yes. So for anyone who doesn't know, I trained in beauty, about 8 years ago. And I thought it'd be a really good, flexible kind of temping thing to run alongside my singing and acting. Because, I tried the temping thing and going into offices and that was fine, but it's not as flexible or as easy. And let's face it, any actor and singer needs to be able to earn money in another way, because the work is never ever constant.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I worked from home, doing, I specialize in lash extensions and brows and that kind of thing. And then I took the plunge. I wanted to train in, I don't know if you've heard of microblading, which is basically creating permanent makeup. So it's like a form of tattooing, but not as deep as tattooing, but doing eyebrows. So cutting in individual eyebrow hair, creating individual eyebrow hairs with pigment. And so I needed a proper premises to do that. So I thought, right, it's going really well. I'm going to open a little beauty salon in Guildford, which is where I live, just off the high street. Found this beautiful venue just off the high street. This lovely, it's like the top floor of a hairdressing salon. And it's lovely, and I was so excited, and I opened it up, and I was just about to launch. I was doing a soft launch, and I sort of moved everything in. I've got this beautiful big mirror, and my beauty room, and got it looking all girly, to combat the man cave I was moving into with my other half, which is now being sorted during lockdown. But and then I think I've been open about 3 weeks, and COVID started being talked about, and people started cancelling. And then 5 weeks into me opening and taking on rent and on all of that, we got shut down because of COVID. So
only 5 weeks in. Oh my gosh.
5 weeks in. So for nearly 4 months, my beautiful little beauty space has been shut, but we're allowed to go back, because I only do face, so I only do eyes and brows, and that's classed as close contact. So we are finally being allowed back on the 1st of August. Yay! And I can't wait, because in a time, like you were saying about diversifying, I never thought I would be juggling singing and beauty and all of that, but actually, and shopping telly and selling random stuff on shopping telly, but actually it's meant that I've got something kind of to cover the other things. So while certainly what you and I do, even though they're starting to say that singing in pubs or whatever is coming back, it's not really what you and I do. So we still can't really sing unless it's online live. The shopping telly, I've been very, very grateful that I've had a few shows of that during lockdown, so that's been great. But the beauty has suddenly become, and my cruise agency obviously is shut down for the time being, but the beauty is suddenly becoming, this is going to be my major form of income for the rest of the year. So it's funny how things kind of juggle around, and it's I think in a very long-winded way, I guess I'm saying, yes, I think diversifying, certainly when you're in the industry we're in, is a good idea.
Yeah, 100%.
And also like you were saying, as you get older, because I'm older than you, you can't go on singing forever, and you have to start thinking about the future and what you want to work towards.
Yeah.
And I think it's finding, like you with your vintage and your fashion and your, you know, you were talking about, you know, dogs and you know, pets and stuff. I think that's brilliant because you're passionate about that. You know, I've always been passionate about beauty, and I've loved watching what, you know, how people do makeup and hair, and I love all that. So you have to work with what you're passionate at, and then it becomes less like work, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing to realize as well is that it's okay to not do the same thing forever. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just because for the past however many years you've identified as something, it doesn't mean that you can't change that feeling. And I think there's two great examples that I can give for that. The first one, as I told you earlier before we started recording the podcast, was Vera Wang. So I need to look at what she did before, but she started fashion when she was 40. She had a whole other career before that. And then the other guy that I love to bring up with this kind of thing, because I think he's amazing, is Brian Blessed. You know him? Larger than life character. Yes. He is so amazing because he's done everything. He's been an actor, he's been an opera singer, he's climbed Everest 3 times, he's got his own animal sanctuary, he's now a fully trained cosmonaut.
He is mad. So I have a Brian Blessed story.
Oh, oh my gosh, I would love a Brian Blessed story.
One of my very good friends married Brian's daughter ages ago, Roz.
Wow.
And it is a long time, and unfortunately they're divorced now, but Mark is very happily remarried. But yes, they got married, and I went to the wedding, and it was fabulous. They had a big hog roast, and it was outside in this cute little chapel. It was gorgeous. And Brian got up to do the father of the bride speech. Now Brian has a tendency to how can I put this politely, swear.
Yes.
He uses a certain C word quite a lot.
Yes.
So his whole father of the bride speech was peppered by this word. And then he decided to totally go off track and acted out the Flash Gordon scene for us.
I would have seen that.
Around the whole of the marquee. He literally acted every character and gave us the whole of the famous Flash Gordon scene.
Oh my gosh, that would have been amazing.
It really was. It made it. It was fabulous.
That's so brilliant. Did he do all the sound effects for the guns and everything as well?
He did everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's so funny because I remember watching an interview with him where they said action, and so he went onto the Flash Gordon scene with the gun and started making the noises, pew pew pew, whatever it was that he was doing. And then they said cut. Brian, we put in the sound effects. Oh, I thought that was funny. Yeah, no, I love him. I mean, he's larger than life and completely like out there and brilliant. But he's the great example of being diverse, of following your passions, no matter where they come in life or what they are. And I think he's a brilliant example of how to do that.
I think you're right. And you look at other actors. I think Sean Connery came into it quite late. Harrison Ford was a carpenter before he got Star Wars, and you know, and he was in his 30s or his 40s when he got that. So, you know, people change direction all the time. And I think singing is, you know, no matter what we do, we will always be singers. I will always be a singer because that is me, that is my core, that is my passion, that's what I love. And I think you're the same. You know, whether you do a few concerts a year or you're, you know, online doing stuff every day. But I think you can find other passions to run alongside that. And I think sometimes you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Be real.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. No, you're completely right. And I think that if singing is your main line of work and you are a professional musician, then absolutely brilliant. But you should also have something else, even if you don't need to, because this has really shown that. But I know there's a lot of people who need to, and there's no shame in that either. Like some people feel like if they've got something that they're doing as well as singing, that somehow makes their singing career a failure. And I'm going, no, that's not true at all. Like, I've spoken to so many singers who feel ashamed that they have to do something else. And I go, no, that's so clever and brilliant, and keep it.
Exactly.
It's so important too. And don't be ashamed of it. It's savvy.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I guess that's why I initially went into the cruise agency side of things, because it just ties everything together. It was logical. It was my background, and I understood it, and I understand about what's needed, and I love finding talent. Oh my God, I love finding, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Oh my gosh, I love finding talent, and helping them and opening doors. So, yeah, it's
it's just smart. It's smart. And COVID has well and truly taught us that, is that it's smart to have more than one string to your bow and other stuff going on. But yeah, you said you've got a background in cruises, so I think we should tell people a bit more about that, and a bit more about your background there.
I'm just trying to hang on, because this keeps slipping back. Let me just try. Rubbish.
The wonders of technology.
I know, it was working so well until it all collapsed. And it's not working now.
We can still see you beautifully though. There we go.
I don't know.
It's so cruel to yourself.
Well, I don't know about you, but I adore cruises. I think there's nothing like, one, I adore traveling. So I love that feeling of getting off a plane and the heat hitting you, or the different air hitting you, and smelling something so different. So combine that with working is, for me, is a win-win, because my parents were, so my father was a pilot and my mother was an air stewardess. So travel's cool. Travel's kind of in my blood. And that's kind of my way of seeing the world. And I love it. It's like you were saying, you know, when you produce your own concerts, and I think you are so brave for doing so many. I've given up, because I just find it so stressful.
It's stressful.
Just so stressful.
Yeah.
To get on a ship and know that they've got your back, and they'll do your promo. You know, you might have to turn up with your USB stick with everything, but you know, they will sort out the technical side for you. They'll set the stage up for you. They'll link everything up to the LED screen for you. They'll cut, you know, the band are there, and you know you can rely on them. You just got to turn up with your music and do a rehearsal on the day. All you got to do is really show up and sing and do your stuff and be nice to people. So there's a lot to be said for it. Yeah,
there definitely is. I hands down love it. It's one of the best jobs I've ever had. It's just blinking brilliant. And then it's part of it, well, for all the reasons you've said, it's brilliant. The travel, and the opportunity to meet new people.
Yeah. And aren't the theatres incredible?
They're amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
People have no idea. People who haven't been cruising are like, oh, so is it like a little cabaret lounge? I'm like, well, yeah, on the smaller ships, but the big ones, I mean, they are just as good, if not better, than a West End theatre.
Oh, 100%.
And the tech they have on board for the lights and the blows me away.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got access to everything. Like for one of my shows around Christmas time, I was singing Let It Go in my show. And this was in one of the really big theatres, because it was on the Chinese rounds. So they have the 5,000 passenger ships with the Chinese passengers on them. So I was singing Let It Go in Mandarin Chinese, and they managed to find the snow machines. And so when I did it was like halfway through the song, and the snow started coming out, and we had it timed for my movements.
No,
it was amazing. Honestly, the kids in the audience thought I was Elsa. They thought I had actual real magical powers. It was amazing. But they've got the tech to be able to do that for you.
Yeah.
Amazing. All the lights and the PA systems are massive. And having somebody there look after it all for you, or the stage managers, and they're all so lovely.
I know, right?
It's the best.
I know.
Yeah, so I miss that.
Job. Yeah, I totally agree. And the fact that you wake up every day, you know, in a different country or a different port, and it's just, it's so funny because I've done it quite a few years now. How long have I been cruising? Probably over 10 years. And the bad thing is you get blasé. You're like, Florence today. No, I can't be bothered. Stay on board. Do a bit of sunbathing. I mean, really?
I thankfully I haven't got to that stage yet, but I know a lot of guest entertainers who've been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years who do feel like that. Yeah.
Or I'm like, I've been to Gibraltar like 20 times now, I'm not going to bother getting off, or I've seen one field, seen them all. It's just like, yeah. I know, but it's that you get to that point, and it's so stupid because we are so lucky and so blessed. But to be frank, sometimes all I want to do is get a tan, so hello.
Or if you had a long flight and you've got your show coming up, you need to sleep. Like I've had to do that a couple of times when it's been a nightmare getting to a ship. But I do try and go out as much as I possibly can, just because it's just nice to get off the air conditioning before you show as well. That's quite important.
Well, that is something you do. I try and spend as much time on deck on a show day, because the aircon just saps your voice, especially your top notes.
It dries you out completely. So that's wise. But when cruising is absolutely amazing and you get all those benefits, but you were saying about the stress of organising your own shows, and I was chatting to Jennifer Thomas about her tour just on the podcast gone, and she said that all the lighting stuff that she had set up by an engineer or programmed for when she was performing failed the day before her first show. So she had to learn how to program all of her tracks, all of her cues, all of her click tracks, and all of the lighting.
Oh God!
Doing her show the day before her first show, like.
Oh God! Oh no!
And you compare that to a ship, and you're like, why do I put myself through this? I don't.
Yeah. And you don't have to sell tickets on a ship. It's literally who turns up turns up, and it just takes the pressure off. I don't think people. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's amazing to put on your own show here, and to go out and meet everyone who is kind enough to actually like your music and want to come and meet you and see you live. It's incredible. But you see a tip of the iceberg, literally, when you go see a show. Everything that goes on beforehand and underneath it all is quite extreme. It's really quite extreme and time consuming and stressful, and like you say, when you're doing it all yourself, like both you and I have done, it's just, are you actually more so than me? You're braver than me. You've done a lot more of it than me. I gave up. I did a couple and said, nah, I can't do it. So yeah, I just it's kudos to you, babe. Kudos.
Well, I'm not sure if it's bravery or stupidity or whatever it is. Probably a mixture of it all. But I'm sure you've got some good tour stories. We could do a quick tour story exchange.
Oh, gosh, well, it's all about, you turn up and, you've driven for 6 hours to, somewhere, and there's nowhere to warm up, there's nowhere to get changed. You end up changing in the disabled toilet, and there's no heating and you're freezing. I did this incredibly glamorous party once. It was like a Narnia party. So wow. I had to be there in this incredible ball gown and be a snow queen, and we got there, and they converted their barn into Narnia. You entered through a wardrobe and into the door into Narnia to like fir trees and wow. Aslan and this huge throne, and
they've gone all out.
Oh yeah, an ice skating rink, for the guests to ice skate, and ice sculptures and an ice bar. Honestly, but they hadn't thought to actually put any heating in our curtained off area at the back, so it was so cold. I was literally, I couldn't, I had my Ugg boots on under my dress, and my big padded jacket, and yeah, it was, but touring is full of stories like that, as is anything to do with music. I mean, I'll tell you a bit about my music videos in a minute, but I'm sure you've got some good touring stories as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you remember the concert we did together in that venue in Surrey? And that was freezing. Most of my tour stories are freezing. That was freezing.
And
I you know, you were singing and there was no room for us to go on and off the little stage. So I was sat at the side of the stage and I had to bring my puffer jacket down to sit in.
Yeah. It was freezing, but it was inside. I was thinking, come on, guys, put the heating on. It was in this lovely country house with all these
gorgeous,
like amazing antique pianos. You know, you would have thought they'd need to be kept at a good temperature in order to like not break the strings and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it was really cold, wasn't it? Yeah, the poor audience. I've got a few cold stories as well. There was one time I was doing a gig in Atherstone. And Beth Ford came to join me, and it was on that day of the concert that the heating failed in the church. It was a Christmas concert as well, so it was freezing in there. You could see your breath when you were singing. It was that
love it.
Inside the church. And the poor, oh my gosh, poor audience. They had blankets, all their winter clothes on. They didn't take them off when they came in, but they sat through it. They did well.
There you go.
And then. Chinese New Year in Trafalgar Square one year, all the heating had failed backstage that they tried to put in, and I was trying to be brave. I took my coat off and sang in my dress, but it was -5. So I was, but I wasn't worst off there. It was my poor guitarist Greg who had to play the guitar in -5, where his fingers had frozen. They weren't moving properly anymore.
Well, yes, because when we did our concert, do you remember Richard, the pianist, was literally like trying to warm his fingers up to play the piano.
Yeah.
It was so cold.
Yeah. So talking about warming your voice up, you've got instrumentalists who've got to deal with it in other ways as well. But yeah, my most stressful show was on the 13th of December one year. Don't schedule a show for the 1st of the 13th. Don't do it. So I turned up, and we actually managed to get there on time, but I'd driven for a good couple of hours. I turned up and the stage hadn't been set up in the slightest. They knew we were coming at 2 p.m. and yet there was nobody around. So when we got there, we had to wait for them to set up the stage, even though we were there going, we need to start when we arrive at 2. And then my accompanist was late because he was coming from a different direction and there was a crash on the motorway. So we managed to get everything set up and put in, but then I was waiting for him to arrive so that we could do any sound check. But before he could get there, the choir had arrived and I needed to run through everything with the choir. So the choir had started arriving, then my accompanist turns up. He tries to put his keyboard into the grand piano case that I'd had specially made to fit his keyboard. Turns out he'd given me the measurements wrong and it was about this much too big to fit the custom case that I had made. So I had to call my dad, who's thankfully wasn't far away. I called him and I said, Dad, you never guess what? This custom case that you built me for my Christmas present, he's given you the wrong measurements and it's too small. His keyboard won't fit in. So Dad came running over, properly saved the day. Like, thank goodness for my dad being so amazing. And he was hammering and bashing at the piano, this glorious piano case that he'd made specially. It looked incredible. And he had to bring in all his power tools and try and fix it ready for the show. So while the choir was trying to rehearse and while we're trying to sound check, we had my poor dad on the side of the stage who couldn't go anywhere else because there wasn't space, hammering and using power tools while we were trying to rehearse. But like, there was no way of doing it anywhere else. I just had to say to the choir director, look, this is just going to happen because I can't do anything about it. And my dad's saving the day here. Like, he's being a proper superhero.
Yeah.
So then we start rehearsing with the choir. I haven't done my sound check yet. And we play the backing track for the choir to sing along to, and there's nothing. The choir sing nothing throughout the whole song. And I look back and I go, is everything all right? And they said, oh, this is different to what we've been practicing. I had sent them all of the music, all the tracks that we would be using. They hadn't looked or opened the email. So we had told them what song they were singing. They'd practiced a different version in a different key with different harmonies. No. Even though I had said to them, I'm going to send you all the arrangements and the backing track, look out for that email. Nothing. So we had to change the entire arrangement of the choir before going on, before we could do their, because they still had to sound check their piece by the time we're horribly late by now. And then I've got people coming to me saying, we were going to do the meet and greet upstairs, but now we can't do that because one of the meet and greet people needs a place that's accessible, so we have to move it, but we can't do it downstairs because that's where the bar is. So they were coming to me to try and sort it out, and I was there going, I haven't practiced with the choir, I haven't sound checked myself yet, I haven't put my makeup on, my hair is still a mess, and I need to go on stage in about an hour. So I haven't sorted it yet.
Oh Lord.
And then I can't remember when this happened now. This is all bringing it back to me and I'm getting flushed and nerved. Oh my gosh, this is... but just when you think nothing else can go wrong, a poor audience member, I don't know what happened because it's like their business, but we had to call an ambulance to help them out. Thankfully they were okay and it was all sorted. But yeah, I did. I was like, what else is going to go wrong?
Okay, I hear you.
Somehow,
no 13th.
My dad got it sorted. We ended up doing the meet and greet. It was fine.
Oh, wow.
And then I managed to have 10 minutes to warm up before going on stage and do the show. But oh my goodness me. And that doesn't even include any of the organising stress that I'd had beforehand with the venue, trying to do the risk assessment form and the insurance. And
see, this is what I meant about it being the tip of the iceberg, coming to watch the show.
Yeah, so I've rambled on a lot there, but that was one gig. Like, there are so many stories like that I can tell you. And it it turns me into a frazzled mess. I end up feeling ill from nerves and frazzleness.
Yeah, I know. I mean, even when you're part of a show, I mean, I remember doing a show where I had a big rubber wig, and I was Juliet, basically, like this comedy Juliet from Romeo and Juliet, and this big dress, and we had to go up some stairs through the arch and then down. We were taking bows, and I had this big wig, and it was made of rubber, basically, so everything was pin curled, and the wig was just perched on top because we had quick change, you know, these stylized rubber wigs. So I managed to, run up, trip, going up the steps, fell through the arch onto the stage. There were steps down, fell down, like face first. My wig comes off because this rubber bounces down the stage. I should have just ignored it, but I was quite young at the time and quite new to performing, so I should have just gone and just taken my bow and just laughed about it. Now I go, no, I chase after it.
Oh no.
Oh God, it was just, I've done it again. Oh no. Oh gosh. I'm so clumsy. It's
like it's feeling our pain and wants to empathize.
I know. It was just ridiculous. Just reliving it, I was just like, oh my goodness, only me. I am so clumsy sometimes, and the numerous pantos I've done and the stupid things that have happened there, and it's just, it's bananas. It's absolutely bananas what goes on.
Something's just come back to me. No, with the, I think I tried to block this out. With the show I was just telling you about, that was the thing with the meet and greet. We were going to have it in the theatre by the stage because I thought that would be cool. That would be a nice place to have it. But then we were told that because the choir was still rehearsing, because everything was delayed, we couldn't have it in the theatre because the children would be on the stage.
Right.
And I thought, well, hang on a minute, that doesn't make any sense because the audience are going to be in there when the kids are on the stage performing later. So why can't I just have some of the audience members in there while the kids are on the stage earlier? Because they're all going to be there in the same positions later. What's the problem? So we couldn't have it in the theatre. So then they were talking about moving it upstairs, but then we couldn't move it upstairs because we needed it to be accessible, but then it couldn't be downstairs because that's where the bar was and we had people coming in early already. But they were like coming to me to try and ask me what was going on. I was like, I don't know, I haven't done my sound check yet. But yeah, no, that's what it was. We were going to have it in the theatre, and then it was going to go upstairs, and then it was downstairs. But then actually, no, it ended up being upstairs because, oh gosh, anyway. I need to blank this out again. It's causing me stress remembering
and never perform on a 13th again.
Never. Don't do it.
Oh dear me. But it's not just because we were talking about, you know, other things that go wrong, and it wasn't just, you know, touring. I mean, I can think of, so I've made two proper music videos in my life. One was for my EP for the Keen Somewhere Only We Know, which I think is my favourite. I love that. And that looks really glam, doesn't it? It's on a beach. I'm in a Vivienne Westwood dress. Vivienne Westwood dress. So in December, and it was about
on a beach.
December on a beach, about minus something. It was so cold, literally. So when you film a music video and it's all in slow motion, you film it double time.
Yes.
So if anyone doesn't know that, so you speed the music up and you lip sync along like you're a chipmunk, basically. You know, I was thinking, where have you gone? So you're trying to do all your movements and you're lip syncing along, sounding like a chipmunk, because everything's double speed. Because then they slow it down to normal speed, so everything looks fluid and gorgeous and lovely.
Yeah.
Try doing that with blue lips. I mean, literally, I was so cold. And under this beautiful Vivienne Westwood ball gown, I've got my Ugg boots, my trusty Ugg boots, to try and keep myself. And just ridiculous. So that was fine. And then recently, you know, when I released Simple Thing, I did the duet with Blake, Fix You. And the boys were fabulous. They're like, yeah, we'll come along in the afternoon. Do your bits in the morning, which luckily were undercover. Found this really cool little Airbnb randomly.
Was it?
It was an Airbnb.
Oh, brilliant.
It was so cool. So we did that in the morning, and then they were coming along, and we kept it fluid because I really wanted to film in the forest. There are these amazing woods in Farnham near me called Bourne Woods, which are used in so many films and superhero movies and all the Marvel films, because the way the trees are, they're really tall and skinny, and the light that comes through them is amazing. But I was keeping an eye on the weather, so we had to have a backup plan, and it was raining. So we went for the backup plan, and we turned up to this sort of stately, homey kind of place, except we didn't realise that actually inside it was more of a conference centre. So it wasn't quite as gorgeous inside. They said, well, we've actually got conferences on, so you can't make any noise. And I'm like, well, we've got to play the music and sing along because it's a music video. Oh, we thought you'd just be miming. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, no.
So we're all there going, what are we going to do? I mean, we managed to get a little bit done at the end of the day, but we're like, we're going to have to go outside. Because actually outside was quite nice. There was steps and, you know, this long gravel pathway and that. But it was raining. My Fix You video, when I'm in that beautiful red ball gown and we're walking down the path and, you know, it was raining the entire time. And we're just trying to run out.
That's bloody good recording and editing, that is.
Well, it wasn't chucking it down, but it was, you know, enough to make your hair go flat and your makeup to, you know what it's like being a girl. And then, of course, I hadn't bargained on a gravel pathway. So, and this dress is really long, like really long, like inch. I could do it being 6 foot and it would still be long, and I'm only 5'5". So I'm wearing my platform heels. Try walking elegantly down a gravel path, slowly in platform, you know, 4-inch heels.
No, you need a week's practice before doing that.
Yeah, it wasn't the most elegant thing, and we really struggled to pick takes that actually didn't look like me going like this, and I'm still not happy with it. I look back and I'm like, oh, seriously, Justine, you look like an elephant. It's just ridiculous. There's nothing graceful about my walking at all.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think only you can notice that, really, because you're aware of the problems that you face. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. People watching it will go, oh, lovely dress, and Blake looking so handsome.
I know.
You know.
And the boys are like walking along in their flat, you know, shoes, you know. What's the problem, Justine? I'm like,
oh my gosh, Justine, we need to Lily Allen it up. We need to put our ball gowns on with our trainers. Then we'd be sorted.
Yeah. Well, I would have done, but for the fact it was so long, I could.
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's go on the grass. But heels and wet grass doesn't work either. So it was sort of a bit of a challenge.
Gosh. Yeah. No, heels are generally a challenge though. Like I've had, in the middle of a cruise show, I've had to sit down and go, right, talk amongst yourselves. I need to take my shoes off because the boat's going like this.
Oh, yes. I did that. I don't, yes. Now it all comes back, doesn't it? So when you're in a storm on a boat, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like a force. The winds are force. Usually, normally it's like a force 4 to 5, which is really nice. Now a hurricane is force 12. Force 11 was the night of my show. A force 11 on a P&O ship. So 11. And the cruise director was like, "You've got to go on. You've got to go on. You've got to do your show." Apart from the fact I had hardly any audience because everyone was in their cabins throwing up, as you can imagine. I'm there. And just what you said. So I'm on the stage and it has curtains, and the curtains are going like this.
Oh my goodness me.
And the band's instruments, if they stand them up, are starting to fall over. And I'm hanging onto my mic stand and I'm going, "Oh, that's not doing any good," because the mic stand's going like this as well. So yes, I did a U. I took my heels off and did it in bare feet.
Good.
But yeah, that was quite something.
Oh my goodness me. It's never been that bad for me. I mean, I've had days where, you know, I'm moving things. I've had shows where I've been hanging on to the microphone stand because it has been going like this.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, right, this is going to have to support me now. Never mind the microphone. Like Force 11, I've never had to cope with that before. That's crazy. How you were not in your room crazy. With like thrown up like the passengers? I don't understand how it could.
Luckily, yes, but no pills.
Pills,
Seasickness pills, yes. And Dr. Stage, it is amazing what you can get through when you have to. There was a bucket at the side of the stage for me. Had I needed it?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Giddy, you're such a pro. That's
well,
amazing.
So, hello.
That's great though. Yeah, but totally in your flats, and like everybody understands, don't they? They're like, like that's just logical. And then I think I said something like, I said the name of the company's first priority is your safety on this ship, is our safety, and therefore talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I'm going to take my shoes off because this is silly now. It was something like that. But you get a nice laugh from the audience, and they're like, that is sensible, actually.
Yeah, and you know what? I love singing in bare feet.
Yeah,
because I feel connected to the ground.
Absolutely.
And really centered and like unearthed. So if I could sing in bare feet every time, I would do it. Apart from the fact you feel thinner and nicer if you're in heels, but actually to feel centered and rooted is a really nice feeling.
Yeah, because that's actually the best way to sing. And yet as women, society dictates to us that we have to wear high-heeled stiletto shoes in order to look the part. Yes. So, which is very annoying, because I completely agree with you. It's so much nicer when you've got that grounding and you're able to bring everything up to have this, you're able to use all of your voice then without worrying about teetering on these blinking stilettos.
I know. Or when you're on a stage and there's these gaps and your stiletto goes down the crack in the stage. And I'm like trying to move and trying to make it look elegant. No, my heel's not caught. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what did I had a stage like that before. And so, these things you can get on the bottom of your stilettos for when you're doing gigs on fields. They're pretty good. They're not amazing, but they solve the problem. So you put these rubber things on the bottom of your stiletto heels, and they're like about like that, of plastic, so that you don't sink into the grass.
Right.
And so I had some of those from when I was doing a gig on grass before. And when I've got a fairly holy stage, I put them on. It makes me feel a bit better about going on there. But then I did buy a pair of shoes where they're more chunky heel for that as well.
Yes, I just wear wedges when I'm on grass.
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting some dancing shoes, because they actually strap your feet in a bit more, which is something I need because I'm slightly smaller than a 3. And so if I get like my feet. Yeah, but it's annoying because it means that I slip out of any stilettos that I can't be strapped into.
Oh no, I would never wear any slip-ons on stage. They always have to have straps going across or an ankle strap, just so I feel secure. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I always have to wear them anyway. So yeah, I was thinking about getting dancing ones, because then they've got a slight heel, which still looks elegant, but then they're not so high. I've been thinking about those. I think they might be a good idea.
Yeah. No, they are. I've got some of those.
I might have to find some. All right. Ready for when cruises start back up again.
There you go.
Okay, that'll be good. But yeah, when you're talking about cruises and stuff, where's the most favourite place that you have been when you've been on a ship? It must be hard to choose.
That. Yeah, and it is the hardest question. It depends. It depends what you want. For culture, Venice. In fact, anywhere in Italy I just love, but Venice in particular holds some really lovely memories.
Those Italian cruises are dangerous though.
Oh no.
Pasta, pizza, ice cream.
Yeah.
Every day.
Don't even get me started on the Italian gelato.
I know.
Hello, lockdown weight. I need to lose it, not put more on. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not even go there. Yeah, just amazing. And I know I kind of disagree with it fundamentally, because I can't see how it can, I think it's really bad for the environment, but cruising down the Grand Canal in Venice and seeing St. Mark's Square laid out below you, incredible, just incredible. Where else? Australia was pretty fantastic, going up to the Whitsundays and Fremantle and sort of around there. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's one I haven't quite done yet. I've done Fremantle to the next port, and that's all I saw.
Right.
Like just 5 days on sea.
Okay.
So I saw nothing. But I've been to the port of Fremantle. That looked nice from the view I got from the taxi window.
I know, this is the problem. I've been to Bali, because I've docked there and flown back the same day, but I haven't actually seen it.
You've seen nothing, yeah.
Yeah. And the Caribbean. For sunshine, the Caribbean is my favourite. It's where when I first left drama school, I went on a cruise as show company. So I was on for 6 months, doing the shows, and we started in the Caribbean, and I just fell in love with it. It's amazing. The sun is like nowhere else in the world, and it just, I loved the slight dampness and the heat, and the people are amazing, and the beaches are amazing, and the cocktails are to die for. So I think the Caribbean, not Mexico. It's different to Mexico. I went on holiday to Mexico a couple of years ago, and I thought it would be much more like the Caribbean, but it's not. I still prefer the Caribbean, I think.
Right. I haven't been to either, so I'm going to have to take your word for it.
Yeah, you'll have to.
Because normally when I'm hired for ships, I do Europe or China. So that's normally where I'm flown to. Yeah. But you're right about
you'll do more.
Yeah. Well, I've done quite a lot of the same routes now over and over again.
Right.
Because, it depends on where you're based as to where they fly you most of the time.
Yes. And also your speciality with Mandarin is so unique.
So they do fly me out for that, which is the longest flights I normally have to do. However, they did fly me up to the very north part of Norway once, and that took longer to get there than it took to go to China.
Up to Spitsbergen?
No, where was it?
Tromsø?
No, it was even further north than Tromsø. No, it was one of the last fishing villages, and I can't remember the name.
Is that the one where you have to you fly up to a certain one, then you have to get a boat, then you have to get a small plane, and then it's like the hardest thing to get to? Yeah,
the plane taxi service, like bus service, it's an aeroplane. It took me 24 hours to get up there. And then I arrived at the Oh, they couldn't fly the last bit either because the weather was so bad. They put on a taxi service to drive us there, which took even longer. So yeah, it took me 24 hours to get up there. And then when I arrived at the hotel, they were like, your room has been scheduled for this day, but next month. So we don't have any rooms for you.
Oh no!
But thankfully there was a hotel down the road that did have one room left. So I was walking down the road at 2-3 o'clock in the morning in daylight because it was so far north, the sun didn't set.
Yes.
So I was very grateful for that, walking in a strange place at silly o'clock in the morning, but with daylight, that was quite nice.
Yeah, it is weird, isn't it? I've done Iceland quite a few times, and actually that's one of my favourite places as well. They have, not Reykjavik with the hot springs, but they have Akureyri, is it you say? The hot springs that are more natural and less touristy at the northern bit of Iceland. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
And the midnight sun, where it literally never sets, it just fries your brain because you don't feel tired.
I know, it's weird.
I mean, you're drinking at 4 a.m. and it's like it's 10 o'clock at night. It's really bizarre.
Yeah,
really bizarre.
I really liked it, but yeah, it does mess with your body clock quite a lot. But they're up there, that's some of my favourite trips. Like, I've done Norway in the summer and the winter, and I've loved it both times.
Yeah.
It's like a completely different place,
Yeah.
but gorgeous. And then I think my other favourite place with the European ones is the Mediterranean, when I get to do those, because I love the Greek islands. And then when you go up Italy and you get to eat all the gelato that your heart wants, just makes me so happy.
Yes. Yes. Bear with. Susan, come on, boy. My cat is meowing outside the door. I think it's feeding time. Come on, boy. He's like, really? What are you doing in there? What are you doing? Come on, boy. Come say hi.
I want to see a cat.
Come on, boy. No, he's looking at me very quizzically. Come on.
Oh, cats always just do what they want, don't they?
I know, they're not like dogs.
No.
But yeah, and and that's I miss traveling. I can't wait to get back to doing that.
Yeah.
We're going on a few nights break down to Devon, South Devon, in a couple of weeks.
Oh, lovely.
Which I think will be really nice, just to get away and do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a change can be as good as a break as well, can't it?
Yes.
If you have a quick change or a quick break, just to unplug and refresh, it's amazing what it can do for you, isn't it?
And I think the intensity of lockdowns been, for everyone, has just been like, ah! So I think to just diffuse and go somewhere else and try and get a bit more back to normal,
Yeah.
So it'd be nice.
Whatever that is in the first place. Anyway,
No
I don't know what it is.
No idea.
Oh dear. Whoops. We were having technology issues today. I keep moving, knocking things. There we go. Nearly took my ear off.
Just me. My clumsiness is catching.
No, technology doesn't like me anyway, normally. So, but no, it's still in there. We're all right. You mentioned your album. I wanted to ask you more about that, because obviously Blake were lovely and said, yes, let's do a duet together, which is so cool.
Yes.
But you said you are getting it on your site so that people can have signed copies, which is such a great idea.
Yes. So yes, I've had a few website issues and stuff. So I have a lovely batch of CDs that I need to give to you. Well, get to you, lovely lot. I do need to charge for them. But yes, if anyone would like, I'd love to give my music away for free, but I just can't afford to.
No,
so
not possible.
It's obviously
costs so much money. Yeah.
I know. So it's not currently. So the links on my website are currently for iTunes and Amazon to buy it as a download. But if you would like a signed hard copy, just drop me a message through my website and we'll sort out PayPal and I'll send it out to you, because it's not up there as an option on my website at the moment. It will be, but I'm just rubbish at technology and yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I think people know how PayPal works now. You have tip jars, virtual tip jars on PayPal, and it's a really trusted platform. So the fact that you're making it available in the way that you can, in a way that people trust, is really brilliant. Because it's a gorgeous album, and it'd be great to get it out to more people. And I'm definitely somebody who likes a physical album as well.
Yes.
Downloads are great, but you want the real thing.
Yeah, well, as well, yeah, I think so. And also, oh no, he's gone again. I'm gonna pick him up to show you. You know, because you put effort into what goes into the covers and the content in the physical album, and it gives you a bit of an insight into the artist, I think. So I think if you really like an artist, it's a really nice thing to do. Of course, I just download it straight onto my iTunes and then have it on my iPod. So, you know, yeah, I think it's a really nice memento to have if you support an artist, definitely.
Absolutely. And for me, it's the best way for people to support me is to buy my CDs directly from me. Because otherwise you get people taking a cut everywhere.
Yeah. No, you hardly make anything from iTunes and Amazon. It's the only way that you can actually guarantee the artist gets the majority of it, because like you, I'm self-funded. So it's not like we've got a record label putting millions into it, you know. So anything we can claw back is amazing. And my album's had a few, you know, so I did, you know, a few tracks for the EP, and then it was a version of it was available for the Pledge Music campaign I did a few years ago. And then because of Classic FM's involvement, they were like, oh, we want tweaks to this orchestration so we can play it, and we want tweaks to that, and you know, you haven't got the balance quite right so it can chart in the classical charts. So I then had to go back to the drawing board and save up for all the changes. So it took me a few years after that to actually go back into the studio and record a couple of new tracks and re-record a track or two. So it's been a very, very long journey. So the album that is available now is different to the album that was the Pledge Music album. Some of it's the same, but it's got new tracks, it's all been remastered, and that's the one that was released. And I think there was some confusion over it being the same one, and it isn't. It's very augmented, and I just, it's my baby.
Yeah,
you know, it's like you, it's, you know, we put so much of ourselves into our music, and it's my baby. It's you know,
but with the longest gestation period ever.
Yes, I think the gestation period's about 6 years. Very, very long.
Because people don't, like, I talk to my friends about it and they're like, haven't you been making this album for a year now? And I go, yeah, but that's how long it takes. Like, that a year would be a bloody longer. Quick album. Because Prayer to a Snowflake took me 2 years. Inspire was a year and a half, and we tried to do that as quickly as we could, and it was still a year and a half. It's just how long it takes. And so not only have you got all the money that you somehow have to get together to fund it, which is why pre-order campaigns and crowdfunding campaigns are a godsend. They are amazing. But then you've also got all of the stuff to do by yourself, because nobody else is helping you with it. You don't have that record label that's sticking in millions of quid, which doesn't happen anymore anyway. You hear about these £1 million deals now. No. So
no, they want you to come with a fully formed album, and let's not go into that.
I was lucky to have the experience of making an album with a record label to begin with. I've experienced both sides of it. And so even though I found the first album very stressful, I didn't have a lot to deal with that I couldn't imagine all the things that I'd have to deal with by myself for my other two. Like, so many things where you're like going, why do I have to deal with this? I don't understand. Legal contracts are the main thing that boggle my brain. It's like, are you sure they're in English? Because I don't understand a word it's saying. It's like they've got a different version of the English language, lawyers. Like,
I know. It's just, and you know, the PPL and the PRS and the this and the that
and the MCPS and the licenses, and the royalties and the copyright.
Yes.
And the legal contracts we're talking about are normally between instrumentalists and producers to make sure they're getting their producer points and their various royalties that they're owed. Goodness gracious me.
Yes.
That's before you've even put it into physical copies and tried to sell the blinking thing. Like,
I know. I know. Just,
Why do we do this to ourselves, Justine? I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know. I don't know. I naively thought, oh, you know, people will just buy it and it'll no. And it's so, as an unknown artist, it's so hard to reach people.
Yeah.
But you figure out ways, and, you know, you do it, and there's, you know, the Facebook campaigns, and, you know, we both, you know, done our fair share of that, and you do build it. But oh my word, it's time consuming.
Yeah, because people say, "Oh, you make the great music and people will come," and that doesn't happen. You have to be out there with a billboard and a bell ringing it, going, "Hello,
I know.
and you have to do that constantly, but in a way that's not salesy as well. It's a very fine balance, because
yes,
people try and get out there, and it's so difficult to. Right, I'll let you say what you were going to say, and then I'll give you some statistics for getting out there, because I interrupted you.
No, do it. I can't remember what I was going to say. Just go on.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, so I was chatting to a soprano friend, and I was saying about the importance of having an email list. And now that Messenger is coming in, it's so important to have Messenger as well, because when you're on Facebook, on your Facebook artist page, if you've got any links that are taking people away from Facebook, the algorithm will squash that post and show it to barely anyone. Even if you've got a really optimized post that doesn't take people away from it, where your picture is less than 20% text and all of that, even if your post is fully ready for Facebook algorithm, best case scenario, Facebook will only show it to 7% of the people who like your page. 7.
Because they want you to pay for a boost or for a sponsored campaign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I was saying, with an email list, like, I've spent a lot of time building up my email list. So I get above average open rates of 40%, which is a huge difference. But then with messenger bots, that's the thing that's now coming in and becoming more popular. You get an average of 80% open rate on a messenger bot. And so you've got to get people onto these things so that you can let them know about stuff that they want to know about, because they're already following you. But then it's getting them to give that information over to you, like an email address, or getting them to sign up to your messenger bot list and stuff. It's asking somebody to interrupt their day to do that. So it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the pussycat.
Yeah. Oh, there he is on the bed.
He's made a special guest appearance.
My big white fluff ball. Yeah, I know nothing about messenger lists and bots and stuff. You're going to have to educate me on that another time.
That's
a whole thing I don't know about.
It's kind of a new thing that the majority of which businesses are going to connect with their customers now is probably going to be through a messenger bot, where you've got automated messages going out to people, because it feels more personal, but it's something that you can do for a mass audience. The only problem with it is that you don't own any of that information. So if Facebook or Instagram crashes, like it has done before, you've got no way of contacting those people. And say, for example, Facebook goes under, like MySpace did. Suddenly, overnight, MySpace was gone.
Yeah.
Nobody who had built an audience on MySpace were then able to contact the people who really liked them, because they didn't own any of that information. That's why getting people on your email list is so important. And if you've got them on messenger bots, it's great that you can talk to them like that, because then you've got about an 80% open rate. But if you can also say, you know, I really could do with your email address. Would you mind giving it to me? And a lot of people do that with a lead magnet. So for me, I've got 2 songs that are available completely free, where the MP3 downloads are not available anywhere else. So I'm able to say to people, I've got these free songs available that I'd really like you to have. That's the whole reason why they're available for free, is because I want people to have them. So I've got these for you that are free. Where can I send them to?
Yes.
And that's the lead magnet that I have set up. I think saying lead magnet, it makes it sound like a really busy, like, business salesy thing, but it's actually a genuine thing from me as well, where I'm going, I've made this stuff, I've spent a lot of time and effort on it, please listen to it, because it's it's my baby.
I know. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, it's all this stuff that you got to think about as well when you're doing albums. It's just,
I know. So what you need to do, so your other side business, I think, needs to be putting together a podcast or a payable, you know, podcast or book or something for aspiring artists on, you know, how they can, you know, do all these things.
That's so funny. You're the third person who said that to me today.
Well, there you go. There's something in it then.
Oh, so funny. Yeah, people have said that to me. I've learnt about it all for my own career, because I've said on one of these podcasts like a few times before now, that when I was making Inspire with the young kids, I said to them, nobody cares about your career more than you do, and nobody is going to fight for your career more than you will. So if you can equip yourself with all the tools to make that fight easier, then go and do it. Keep learning stuff, keep researching, keep putting yourself out there, because nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself.
So true.
So I've like lived by my own advice there, and I did a marketing course during lockdown and all that kind of thing, and I've tried to expand my knowledge, but now it's the point of like implementing it all, and I've just got to try and be patient and know that Rome wasn't built in a day, because technology is not my friend. So I need to be patient with these things. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's a lot to do. It's a lot to do, and I know that we both feel the same way about technology, don't we?
A little bit, yes. I'm great when it works, and when it's really simple, and otherwise I'm just like,
Yeah, exactly. I'm always at that kind of point. Thankfully though, my fans are brilliant. Like I put in my fan group, I can't get a video of X, Y, or Z, and I don't know how to do this, that, and the other. Is somebody able to help me? They are amazing. The amount of technical people on there that have helped me out with like downloading videos from this website or that website when I can't figure it out, and like videos of me singing that I want to put on my YouTube. They've been amazing at helping me out with stuff like that. I'm so lucky.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's absolutely
very lucky.
Brilliant. But yes, now that you've put out Simple Thing and you've gone through all of that whole crazy process, what are you thinking for the future of that album? Are you thinking maybe some tour dates, or like, because I know we've spoken about live events being stressful, but there's nothing like singing on the stage.
Oh, I know. And the answer is I don't know. I would love to, but I don't know if I can put myself through it. I'd love if somebody said, you know, let's, you know, here's a stage, I'll sort everything out, you know, I'll do all the marketing and promo, and, you know, I'll sell all the tickets, you know, or as many as I can sell, and just turn up and sing and, you know, do all the artistic stuff. I'll be there in a heartbeat. I think online is possibly the way to go. And I probably need to look at Patreon. We were talking about that earlier. I don't really get it. And I know I don't really understand how it works. I know there are costs involved, so it would all be weighing up if it's worth it, and, you know, all of that kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, you said, when I got to perform with you in Guildford, it was so much fun. Like, I know it was freezing, but it was one of the best gigs of that tour, because you were just so brilliant and so professional, and everybody loved you. I mean, of course, why wouldn't they? So we'll have to do a show together again, because then we can share the weight of it.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, because I would love that. It would give me something to look forward to in post-COVID world.
I would totally be up to that. I'd like to do, if I was going to do something, I'd probably like to do it in maybe a church or something like that, because the acoustics are good.
They are so
good.
And
like you say, get a choir involved, so we've got some depth to the sound and something different than just the two of us. Yeah, I'd be up for that. I think it's the thought of doing something on your own that's really scary. But doing something with someone else is not quite as scary.
Yes, you're completely right. You are. And I love the choir involved idea as well, because I try and do that with every concert that I do, because I like getting kids into music and giving them opportunities to perform. So that's a really important thing for me, and something I try to do all the time. But you're completely right. It's great having other performers there. And I loved doing Christmas at the Musicals with Joanna, because at the times when it was really stressful, I knew that she was there and she could also help me out, and she was so brilliant at all that stuff. Like, goodness me, she was a godsend. And she was absolutely brilliant. You knew that she'd go on stage and be absolutely incredible every single time. So yeah, it just takes the weight off having somebody else there helping you out.
Yeah, and I think it's, to be quite frank, a bit more interesting for the audience as well, because you know, when I did my album launch, Stephen from Blake, you know, came and was my special guest, and it just made such a difference, because you could do a bit of duetting, you could each do some solo stuff, and it just made it more interesting, I think, as a show. And you know, no one wants to look at my ugly mug the whole evening, so it's much nicer if there's someone else to, you know, for them to look at.
Well, I'm choosing to look at your beautiful face for this whole evening. I'm excited about it. Oh, you're so mean to yourself. But yeah, on talking about gigs that you're organising or not organising. I know you've done some amazing ones in the US, haven't you?
Oh gosh, I was lucky enough to go over as part of a Breakthrough Breast Cancer award ceremony.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was inspirational women, you know, with you know, who come through cancer and other stories.
Wow.
And it was really amazing. Yeah, I got to sing at Royce Hall over in Los Angeles, which was
so cool.
incredible. As well as in Cadogan Hall in London for the London shows that they did. Yeah, it was really, really amazing. And I can tell you, LA is something else.
Really?
Oh my goodness. Oh yes. It's there are some very interesting people there. Oh,
come on, this sounds like a story. I want to hear it. I'm excited.
Oh, no. They're just so different from us Brits. So, you know, so if you're so you're sunbathing around a pool, you know, with a load of Brits, and you'd be like, oh, you know, it'd just be nice chit chat, talk about the weather, or you know, oh, you know, I don't feel quite comfortable in my bikini, or whatever it is. And we're very self-depreciating, and you know, don't really want to talk about ourselves too much, and you know, put ourselves down. And you go to LA and you're talking around the pool with someone, and it's like, so let me tell you about me. I can't do the American accent, but it was literally like you're in this other world where they're so confident and so, you know, it's all about me and what can you do for me and who can you set me up for meetings wise and la 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 la. And I was just like, we need to learn something from this. It's a whole different mindset. I know, whole different mindset.
Gosh.
And it's in a way it's really refreshing, but as a Brit it's a bit like, whoa. And LA is the extreme version of that, and I think the people I was talking to were probably the extreme version of it. But it was because I love the Americans. I think they're fabulous. And actually, going back to my cruise agency, I'm very, very lucky for cruises to represent an incredible American artist, Marisha, who has starred in Dreamgirls and Marisha Wallace. She's amazing, but she's such an inspiration. She's just been on she released Tomorrow, and she was been on the Michael Ball show, you know, over lockdown. Talk about somebody making lockdown work for you. I mean, that woman, she's amazing. But she is a force of nature, and I think that comes with being American, because she's so positive and direct, and nothing is too much trouble, and she can do anything. And I mean, the woman has a talent to die for, but I really admire people like that who are so go-getting and so positive. And so, well, yeah, of course, I can do that. Yeah, let's make it happen.
That's
I love
great.
it. I love it.
I think it would take you back a bit to go, what can you do for me? Let me tell you about me. You know, that's just not something that we do. No. In a way, I kind of admire the directness, because I kind of think, you know, you're making the best use of your time there.
I know, right?
No beating around the bush. Right, what can we do for each other?
I know. And that, because what do you say? So if somebody says, you know, oh, you know, how good are you? Are you a good singer? You know, I mean, an American would go, yeah, I'm great. Whereas I'm like, oh no, make up your own mind. Listen to me.
Yeah.
It's just a different attitude.
Gosh, yeah, I don't know how I'd reply to that either. I'd probably do the same thing. You go, well, it depends on what you like. Have a listen, see what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm bloody brilliant. Like, you wouldn't have a Brit saying that, would you?
No.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I haven't really experienced that, but I've experienced a majority American audience a lot on the ships. And I do love them. They are fantastic.
Yes.
As
Whereas
an
I have
audience,
mainly British audiences. Yes. So do you agree? So British audiences, when you're on a ship, are like, oh, darling, that's wonderful. Yes, great, smashing, lovely. And then as you're doing the meet and greet afterwards, they're like, best singer I've heard in ages, la 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 la. I'm like, show me that when I was on stage. And the Americans are like, woo, 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 you go girl, you so woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, and I love that. Yeah, they are completely like that. I mean, I understand the British audiences, you know, having been a Brit, growing up with them, you know, I get it, it's good. But yeah, and then when you do American audiences, it just suddenly makes you feel like, yeah, I'm having the best time ever. It's so funny how different audiences can be so different, isn't it? Like, you really get to feel the difference when you're on ships and you've got a majority Australian audience or a majority American or majority Brit. The Chinese
Aussies
are a whole different ballgame in themselves.
I was going to ask, what are the Chinese like as an audience?
Yeah, they're not.
Bit more British.
Oh dear, I love the Chinese, obviously. But yeah, the theatre isn't something that all of the Chinese population quite understand just yet. Because there's always been a huge gap between rich and poor over there. There hasn't really been a middle class that's gone to theatres. And we've been going to theatres and doing stuff like that in our culture for many, many, many years. Whereas the Chinese haven't been doing that so much. So sometimes they don't always clap in the right places. And they save seats for people, and while you're singing a song, they're standing up looking around for their family, and when they see them come in late, they're like, oh mate, I'm over here. While you're singing. And they come in halfway through a show and go right at the front and sit down at the front. But halfway through. Brilliant. Whereas us Brits, we stay at the back going, oh, rubbish, I'm late, that's so rude, I can't believe I would, and like stay at the back and not disturb anyone. Whereas they'll happily go trunching in and go right to the front. And yeah, it's an interesting experience.
Do you give them a little wave?
Yeah. I did start doing that, yeah, and they were just a bit like, hello, move back, it's fine.
Love it.
Oh dear. But like, I've had my fair share of Chinese audiences now, obviously. So I know what they're like. I know how to talk to them. I know how to, you know, respond to the way that they are. And you just learn that based on different audiences because they are so different. But it's a fun experience, different audiences.
Yeah. Yes, completely. And you never quite know what you're going to get. So it's fun.
No, it is fun. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what the audience is going to be like when we get to do our show together, because I am properly excited about that now.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for asking me. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, well, Guildford was absolutely amazing. And if we can get out there and sing live with hopefully half the stress, then that would just make me feel so happy.
I'm feeling Guildford Cathedral. No, that might be a bit too much of a stretch. Maybe I'll come your way and do something, or meet halfway. Or I don't know. We'll think of something.
Yeah, we'll think of something. Yeah, and in fact, people who are listening, please let us know in the comments below where you'd like us both to come to with the show. And you can tell us where you'd like us to come, because that would be really helpful, actually. We might as well go where it's easier for the majority of people to get to us, especially because post-COVID, it's going to be a whole different ballgame. Organising things and selling tickets and getting people along and all that kind of thing. So yeah, if you can let us know in the comments below where you'd like us to come to once this whole COVID thing is hopefully calmed down a lot, then that would be really helpful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, cool. All right, then. Well, we'll look forward to hearing what you guys think, and let us know in the comments about where you want us to come to. Oh, the cat's making an appearance again. Hello, pussy cat.
I'll see if I can pick him up. Hang on, let me see if I can grab him as he goes past. Probably not. He doesn't like being... Oh, no, gone. He doesn't like being picked up.
Well, you made a couple of special guest appearances there, so it's nice to see the cute pussycat.
Oh, it's tea time. It's half an hour past tea time. That's why he's meowing
That's what
at
it
me.
is. Okay, fair enough.
Mm.
Well, I'll let you do and sort out tea time for your pussycat. And it was so
Thank
lovely
you.
to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining me on the Mary-Jess Meets podcast.
Ditto. Thank you so much. I've loved it. And you know, I could chat all day. So
I could chat all day to you as well. Yeah. Thank you so much. And also, while you guys are listening, I'll put a link in the description below to the albums that you said about, so Simple Thing, so that you can get Justine Balmer's Simple Thing signed by her as well. So I'll put the link to the description below. So Justine, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Yes, speak very soon. Bye,
Thank
lovely.
you. Bye.